Hello and welcome to another episode of American Pylon. You're joining us here for our 29th episode, Season 2. Unfortunately, our glorious host, Will, is not here.
Yeah, Will got rid of his iPhone, so now he can't get any of our group texts, so he's dead to us.
This is life now.
Yeah, he doesn't know that we're recording.
He missed
because he can't get our blue iMessages, and we don't feel bad for him.
He missed the new time and date. So here I am having to do triple duty, produce, host, look good.
Tyler and I are doing exactly the same amount of work as always.
That's it.
Slightly less even.
I did set up a few more lights, so.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what's been going on with sports since the Super Bowl, except for the Predators, which
we watched the Preds game.
Yeah, we did host a little Predators party. They won. We brought some good juju to the mix there.
It was fun. Tyler and I were watching it, having no idea what we were watching.
Well,
it was
yeah,
fun.
I knew a little bit. I kind of did some reading.
Tyler's getting in there.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I noticed,
the seam.
it's the crease. The
Crease.
Arizona Coyotes they're kind of better in the crease this year in 2019 than they were over 2018 as a whole, and it really showed. But I guess the power plays suffered. They really couldn't overcome that with Nashville and it's the home crowd. So it was a good showing by the Preds.
Nashville does lead the NHL in goals per power play attempt, right? Didn't we figure that out?
They were like number 4, I think, or something.
Okay,
They were
pretty
high.
but the Coyotes were last.
They were it was a
Coyotes are bad with power plays, which
it's a flip flop.
I mean we've seen time and time again teams with good regular season records. If you can't capitalize on power plays, you wash out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna say
It seems like a statistic.
I was having a hard time thinking.
I'm gonna say the Predators aren't that good at power plays. Maybe it's just when I watch, but
They should have us over more often then.
Yeah, I know.
It's good luck.
It's really almost all of the games I've tried to watch this year, we've lost.
Mm-hmm.
So thank God you guys brought some different energy. We won the game, and then hopefully that'll lead into my trip to Nashville, which is coming up in a mere matter of days at this point.
Blackhawks, right?
Is that this weekend?
It's the next weekend. No, the Avalanche.
Nice.
Avalanche.
That's gonna be fun.
Okay.
Nashville's a fun city.
Anaheim? That's Ducks.
No,
Who's the
Colorado.
Avalanche? Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll get some swag,
Okay.
get some gear while I'm there.
You get a jersey?
Nah,
That's
I
a
can't.
bold move.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
hockey jersey is pretty aggressive choice of clothing. You're going all in on wearing a hockey jersey if you wear it to
Very happy
casual Friday or something like that at
Well,
work.
you guys had a party here and somebody had one on. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. So
Yeah.
hopefully
The
they're
Detroit Red Wings jersey.
they're not
Oh,
a
yeah.
listener.
He's definitely not a listener.
I don't
Sorry.
think that guy's a listener.
I don't know that guy's name.
All right. Well, we're fine then. So
There was a guy wearing a Real Madrid jersey though. That
Yeah.
was a cool.
He
that's
knew
a-
his stuff.
Yeah, that's a much better fashion choice for a party.
So Tyler, I'm just noticing your shirt. Like,
Yeah, man.
What's is this the new Superman?
It's Cam's dad. Go from the mic
New.
there.
That shirt's from like 2015.
Yeah, this is old.
No,
You
I
remember
just-
when Cam was dabbing on everybody that
I
day?
Dipping
don't.
and dabbing.
That's how much I don't pay attention to
Yeah,
Cam.
no, this is what I wear for every Panthers
I respect
game
that.
under my jersey.
I wish I could pay attention to him that little, but
It's just
it's under my skin. I can't look away.
I'm a
It's
big
like a
Cam
car
guy.
accident.
Granted, I don't like when he pouts, but I love Cam. I like his charismatic way when he's playing. He's playing well. He's on cloud 9, and he's kind of showboaty, like on my shirt and doing the Superman and stuff. That's fun to me if you can back it up. If you can't and you pout, it's not a fun time to be a fan of Cam then. So it's very up and down.
Sometimes after games, he looks like he's showing up to tell Gotham City he's going to blow it up.
Dude,
Yeah.
Unless they reveal
Yeah,
who
I
the
will say
Batman
he's-
is in the next hour or something like
he's
that. You never know
super
what
fashion forward.
villain he's going to be.
Yeah, super
dressed
fashion
like.
forward, which I can't follow him there. We'll say he probably has style because I can't follow fashion
He
anyway.
doesn't have style.
But no, I think he's pushing. I mean, I think he's right there with everybody else. Because if you look at the rappers and everything, that's all the crazy. I mean, hell, watch the Grammys this past weekend. It was a joke. But Cam wears out in the reg, so whatever. To each their own.
Did you
But
see Kacey Musgraves
okay.
won Best Album.
I just saw it on the news.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I
I think
disagree
there were
with a lo-
4 albums nominated that
I
were better
disagreed.
than. I did not listen to her album, to be fair, but but there were 4 very good albums that were nominated.
yeah, I disagree
What were
with
they?
most of it.
I'd have to look back up, but I remember being upset.
Clearly winners.
Yeah, I'm not that big of a fan. But
Sure, Childish Gambino was up there. His was up there. for
Childish
almost everything.
Gambino won Record of the Year for "This Is America," which I felt like was a little bit of pandering by the Grammys.
Yeah, it was.
That's. I didn't think that was
Yeah,
that good of a
I mean,
song.
you
As a
know.
standalone song to listen to, I thought "All the Stars," "God's Plan," "The Middle,"
The Middle should have won Song of the Year.
and I believe "Candy Paint" or "Psycho." One of Post Malone songs were all nominated.
Yeah.
That were all better.
Hmm.
So you
Jimmy's
can add
trying
us
to
on
trigger
Twitter
somebody out there in the audience tonight.
Those were my feelings.
Cardi B won something, so Jimmy's happy.
She won Rap Album of the Year for Invasion of Privacy, which was
Most oversized
Accurate.
teeth for face.
Really? Does she have that? We'll have to consult Brent on that.
We'll have to bring Dr. Brent Johnson on the show. He can talk about the exact
We're going to
ratio.
need proportion to teeth to face,
Teeth to face,
lips
but
to gum showing.
I'm a big Cardi B guy. I make no apologies for that.
So,
Okay.
Sports.
Moving on. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
sports. All right. First thing we got is the Super Bowl because we skipped a week to have our
Preds party.
Yeah, the Preds party. Have our week off. Get some much needed R&R for how hard we work on this show.
That's very true.
It takes a big toll on our emotions, our bodies, on everything. So we needed a week off. But back to the Super Bowl. First thoughts? Underwhelming.
Yeah, very. I think everyone can agree. Slow Super Bowl, boring Super Bowl for the most part. I think the nation was pulling for the Rams.
Yeah.
And the Bulldog Nation was pulling for, I want to say Todd Gurley to win, but for both running backs to show out with Sony Michel on the Patriots,
Yeah.
Todd Gurley on the Rams, to have both good games, but maybe have the Rams pull it out in a squeaker. But man, that was just as a game, that was boring. I also wasn't too impressed with any of the commercials or blown away with anything. I will say, outside of the game, which maybe this is not exciting sports-wise, but for Atlanta, I thought we did a really good job of putting on the Super Bowl. Like just kind of going down to Centennial Olympic Park in Midtown and kind of getting in the mix and walking around and seeing everything. I know you and Jimmy said you went down to the NFL experience through In We Go, which is one
David
of our
went
sponsors.
too.
Shout out, and David.
Yep.
So it sounded like everyone really enjoyed it, and I don't think we didn't have any problems. We didn't have any issues.
Nobody
I didn't hear
Nobody
anyone
got
get
stabbed. Yeah, 100% less people got
Yeah.
stabbed than the last time Atlanta hosted the
Reportedly.
Super Bowl.
There was 9 total arrests.
There you
Really?
go.
And 5 of them, I believe it was 5, happened on the day of the Super Bowl, like during all the mix of everything.
Yeah.
Just like drunk and disorderly.
I don't know. I mean, but 9 total. I feel like 9 total happens in Atlanta every 5 minutes.
That, and considering just the amount of people, you could feel it, the amount of people that were here in this city, which you wouldn't think. I said this thing about New York too. Like when there's an event in New York, there's an event here, you wouldn't think you would feel the effects of a large mass of people coming, but you could just sense it. There was a lot of traffic, a lot of people walking around. There was just stuff going on everywhere. And I started getting a sense of FOMO a little bit as the week went on, kind of like, I'm not really enjoying anything the Super Bowl is bringing to town. I kind of need to go down there and mix. So the girlfriend and I and some people, some friends, we went down to Centennial Olympic Park to, I'm going to call it the NFL experience, but I guess it was just the pep rallies. And we got there in time for the Rams. And we literally woke up, hang out, grab some drinks. We're sitting there just talking. And over the intercom, the MC is like, and next up is Snoop Dogg.
Oh, really?
So we got a free Snoop Dogg concert for like 4 songs, 3 of which were his. One was Miley Cyrus. I don't
Really?
know
He
why
does Miley
he
Cyrus
covered a Miley
covers?
Cyrus song, or maybe he's in it with her and he just did the whole thing. Regardless, it was pretty cool to see Snoop Dogg, a celebrity to that level, perform 100 yards ahead of you, maybe closer 50 yards. But so anyway, Super Bowl for me, it was more about kind of around us. It was such much of a buzz around the city leading up to it.
Yeah.
That was fun. The game itself, pretty big letdown. I do have to say, I guess, give a nod to Brady and the Patriots and Belichick for witnessing history. We definitely need to recognize and appreciate that, I think, just for what that is, and seeing how good Brady is, much better than LeBron in his perspective sport.
Yeah.
But it's just it is crazy to see just Brady. Not that he really willed this team to victory in this game. He made a few key plays. Like that pass to Gronk comes to mind that set up the touchdown. That was clutch. Outside of that, it wasn't the prettiest. It was more of a defensive struggle. But that was just not who I wanted to win. But on the whole, just fun to see and be in the middle of this.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be slowing down.
I would say it wasn't a ton of fun to watch necessarily because it was so slow paced, but I really enjoyed reading afterwards a lot about like the defensive strategy that each team employed because it really was just basically a chess match.
Worked.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really great defensive performance by both teams. I mean, but more so by the Patriots, obviously. I mean, holding the Rams within how crazy that offense has been all year to only 3 points.
Yeah.
I read they went away from a ton of their tendencies, which is one thing I've always heard about the Patriots, and I think it's really neat that they coach to their strengths and then they coach to their opponent's weaknesses. So they don't go out there and they're like, well, we're this type of defense, and if somebody can beat us that way, I guess we're going to lose. They build their game plan every single week, which seems like common sense. But like one of the things apparently, and this is opposite the Patriots, but the Tom Brady has always been known for he's amazing against zone defense. You basically have to play man defense if you're going to beat Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers in the divisional round of the playoffs apparently were kind of like, well, we're zone defense, so we're just going to do that and hope it works. And they just got shredded. So just to see, the Patriots go out there and play a certain type of defense based on the offense that they're playing against, I thought was really, really interesting. They were the highest, I may have this backwards, but I believe they were the highest percentage of zone or of man defense throughout the season, and whatever they were, they went totally away from that tendency.
Yeah.
So they had of any team in the NFL, they had played like 71% like man defense throughout the season, and then they played all zone in the Super Bowl. So they took their greatest tendency and just totally went against it, which is neat to me. That takes a coach that can draw up such an amazing game plan so quick, and then players that can execute it.
Yeah, that is neat. I would have to think it'd be man, 70% man, if we have that stat right, which we're guessing at this point. They switched to zone, but even so, I wouldn't say it was still the Patriots didn't like flip a switch and weren't that effective, even if they went away from their tendencies. It didn't feel like they turned it on at any point.
I think they did a really good job of neutralizing Gurley, which you can go on all day long about. I mean, he had to have been hurt.
I think he's hurt, yeah.
But I don't know why he wouldn't admit that now that it's the off season. I mean, he's probably going to have surgery.
There's a penalty.
He already got paid.
There's a penalty for that. I think I was listening to this on the radio. They said there's even been a penalty up to draft stocks, or draft stocks, listen to me. Draft picks. For people not being forthcoming on the injury reserve list, or just the injury list.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That seems silly.
There's money involved in the NFL. It's a business. They want to talk about who's going to start, who's getting paid, fantasy. There's just so much stuff that goes into it. I feel like a little bit of that is political, not just for the health of the players, which we want to believe. I know in hockey, kind of go back to the hockey thing, I've learned this. They keep it general. They don't even say where, I think. I think they just say injury. He's injured. They never have to specify arm, leg, whatever it is.
Usually
because they say
entire body.
Yeah. They say people. They say people will
His
target
back
it.
is broken.
They say people will target that part of the
sense.
body with a stick and stuff. So football's. I don't know why. I guess there's something behind it. I think it's a little more political, but I guess to that piece, I think something's up with Gurley too, because it's not like Gurley disappear like that. Not in those big moments. And it just felt off. Jimmy, I thought a really good point, kind of going away from that a little bit, that you read about, and I want you to talk about it. I should probably do it more justice, was the mind game and the change of plan that Sean McVay did to kind of neutralize Belichick's influence on the game.
Yeah, so one of the things I read, which I thought was really interesting, is real self-aware for McVay for being such a young coach, was that at whatever point in the game, whether it was halftime or the second quarter or the third quarter, he started to realize that when it came to just coaching the chess match of McVay calling the offense versus Belichick, not being the defensive coordinator, but essentially it's his defense calling the defense. He was just getting coached, circles around. So he was losing that chess match. So in the NFL, you can have the microphone on and be in your quarterback's ear, or if you're the defensive coordinator, you can be in your middle linebacker's ear until 15 seconds before the play starts. And what he started having the Rams do was not break the huddle until there was 15 seconds left. So it essentially removed both coaches from the game plan altogether, and it became Goff versus the Patriots defense. So, you look at the final score and it didn't work, but I thought it was kind of a cool self-aware thing for McVay being so young, and you think a lot of head coaches tend to be, pretty like egomaniacs, that he said, I'm going to remove Belichick from the game and it'll hurt the Patriots more than, removing me from the game will hurt us. And it makes sense. Even if they were equal coaches, removing a coach, I would think, from the offense would be better, just because you can talk to him a bunch of stuff pre-snap and say, this is what we're going to do if you see this audible to that. Whereas, you know what you're doing going into it and you control it. Whereas on defense, you're totally reacting.
Right.
So, but apparently then what Belichick started doing was having the Patriots line up in a certain way, letting McVay kind of read that and get in Goff's ear. And then as soon as the 15 seconds cut off, they would go to a predetermined second formation. Sure. So then now McVay had just given Goff all this advice about a formation that was no longer on the field, so it became Goff versus the Patriots defense, and he was not able to do that. I just thought that the mind game and the chess match of all that was really, really interesting.
That, to me, is that's what makes football incredible to me. And I know every sport has its own little chess match, and it's just a game of inches and just little nuances like that. But to me, and to read that, for you to share that, and I went through and read it a little bit piece by piece too after you shared that with me, just the head game, just the game within the game to like you said, coaches tend to be kind of ego guys, and to remove themselves, Sean McVay to remove himself from that and say, I'm just going to remove Belichick and let my quarterback go out there and hopefully beat a guy that Belichick trusts with his defense. Naturally, the offense is going to be ahead of the defense because they know the snap count, they know the routes are going to run, they know where to read. You feel like that's going to be the case. But when you have a guy coached by Belichick who's probably done it for a lot longer than, let's say, Jared Goff has done it anyway. Now, maybe a different year.
It was Dante Hightower.
Dante Hightower, from Florida, right?
Alabama, I thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was the guy who poked Nishan Marino's
That was
eyes?
Brandon Spikes.
That's what I was thinking of. He used to be a Patriot.
Oh, yeah, he was. He's
Okay.
dirty,
Dante
and he's a
Hightower.
cheater.
I just think if, and this is, ifs and buts, whatever, but with a quarterback maybe that is not as inexperienced as Jared Goff, that definitely might work.
Right.
Now, granted, if you have a quarterback, you may not have to ever rely on removing the defensive coordinator from the play like that by letting the time in your helmet cut out. But I just think if he would have been a little bit more experienced, that would have played almost more to their advantage just because of the offense, knowing the play, knowing the snap count, knowing the route tree, and then having a quarterback that can kind of work confidently doing the system and his checks and the audibles. Like, you're really handcuffed by a rookie quarterback or a second-year quarterback, I guess, by him not being able to really get out of anything you give him at the last second. So I kind of like what Jimmy said, and maybe I'm not doing a good job articulating this, but when the coach, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator can talk to their captains on the offense, which is the quarterback and middle linebacker, and give them the plays up to 15 seconds on the play clock. Once that 15 seconds on the play clock is done, it's out. So I just think, Sean McVay was feeding Goff all this stuff or telling him, hey, just stand there with your back turned to the defense. When 15 seconds cuts out, here's what you're going to run the play. So run up the line of scrimmage, snap the ball. This is a play you're going to run, which I think could work, but like Jimmy said, it didn't. And I guess think that might fall on Jared Goff's inability to quite grasp an entire NFL offense yet, which is, I'm not saying I could either. I guess I was mind blown by that chess match in the game. I guess that was an incredible, humbling thing for Sean McVay to do, and I guess that's next level stuff. And I'm surprised Sean McVay was so forthcoming with that information too, because
Tony Romo touched on it live, like he picked up on.
I missed that in the game.
It was pretty loud where we were watching that.
Here's what he's doing, which is incredible. And so maybe that tells me if Tony knows it, maybe it's kind of one of those unspoken secrets that the league does. I'm just surprised that Sean McVay said that, because I can see now coaches doing that versus Belichick, and now Belichick is almost having to play against that every single week, which just makes everyone better because now everyone is trying to adapt to that kind of.
He was probably just trying to prove he was over there actually doing something.
Well, so I thought what you were saying. I think Belichick knew exactly what he was doing and forcing that, them to put the game in Goff's hands. Because if Goff had won the Super Bowl here, he would have been the youngest Super Bowl winning quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
The youngest currently is Ben Roethlisberger against the Seahawks. In his second season, he was 23. His stats in that game, 9 for 21, 123 yards, and 2 interceptions. So he played like crap. It was just his defense dragged him kicking and screaming. So I think Belichick's been around long enough to know that, young quarterbacks do not win Super Bowls.
Sure.
Without just an absolutely elite defense, which the Rams had a very good defense. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to win a game. They held the Patriots 13 points, so kudos to them. But it's hard to win a game when you only score 3 points.
No, definitely.
So I think, to your point of if they had a more experienced quarterback, then it changes the game. I think that Belichick would have come out with a totally different game plan against, a more experienced. Who did the Rams beat? Oh, they beat Drew Brees. So that would have been a totally different game.
Yeah, but
had they been playing the Saints, because
the Rams' defense, at least I think it was the first time they played it. Or was it in the playoff game? No, that was the botched call game.
Yeah,
which is another point, I guess. Well, finish your point you're making.
All I was saying is that had the refs not botched that call, then the Patriots would have been playing the Saints instead of the Rams, and I'm sure Belichick would have come out with a totally different game plan, because he would have said, we want to take the ball out of Brees' hands. Yeah, and I guess put it in Kamara's at that point, and Kamara's a very good player too, so. Yeah. Maybe the Saints would have had, been a better matchup. But I don't know. It was smart of Belichick to look at Goff and be like, we're all pretty sure or thinking that he might be a system quarterback at this point.
Sure. And
even if he's not, he's just so young. Look at how young quarterbacks have traditionally played in the Super Bowl. Sure. So, I don't know, smart of him.
It was just, I thought it was just, an incredible, that's why I love football. Because, you can think, X's and O's, and I know this player and that player and matchups. Yeah. And then it comes down to literally a coach saying, I cannot beat this guy. I'm looking at my play sheet. I am not going to be able to outsmart him. what are just little technical ways in this game
Yeah.
that I can find some advantage. Like he literally used every resource he had. He thought of everything possible.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm just going to give my players the play at the last second I can possibly talk to them, and then just let it go. It's just, I don't know, to me that's wild. That's just
it would have been
very,
neat
very
as
fun
a,
thing.
somebody that's just rooting against the Patriots to see Goff, the light come on in the Super Bowl, or see Gurley just put the team on his back or something like that. But
oh, well.
wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be. But anyway,
Producer Dave,
yeah, okay. Dave, any comments on that?
comments?
No, I don't have any comments, but we should probably take a break to give Ed Freeman, State Farm, a shout out.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Shout out Ed. What does Will always say?
If you have a house,
a car,
a boat, a life,
or life,
or car.
I have a car and a life. Hoping to have a boat one day.
There you go.
Yep.
You can see, and if you're in Georgia, you have to be in Georgia. Seek out Ed Freeman, State Farm. He is the best agent in the state of Georgia.
The state, yeah.
And
probably more, but we have no grounds to measure that.
So there you go.
We're just gonna have to leave it here and assume he's still the best in the nebulas. I think
There you
that was as high as we got. We made it.
I still think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is larger, but
Oh, okay. All
That's
right.
probably
cool.
true.
Whatever.
Seen how far and wide Thanos has,
well, I mean, hell, they have
traveled.
80 movies now. Can't keep up.
Whatever that means. Yeah, I told you I don't know what's been going on in sports. Like I don't know where to take.
Did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think it was. Everybody hated it. I thought it was
didn't
fun.
It's kind of a Nickelback thing, I think. People, it's like mob mentality. People are just
Yeah.
like jumping on it just because they can.
Yeah.
And they made a good point. Literally every single Super Bowl performance has been like crapped on, except for I think like Prince and Bruno Mars.
Even
Justin Timberlake.
watching Prince. I've watched it on YouTube and it's really good. But I think everybody always talks about how it was like a cultural experience of just the way.
I think that's because they knew he was, on the way out.
That was. I don't even know what year it was, but
I don't either.
that's definitely regarded as the best one of all time. And then I remember being at Alex D'Agostino and Adam Keller's apartment watching the Bruno Mars one.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Seahawks Broncos, I think.
Yeah, horrible.
It was a horrible Super Bowl, but man, that halftime show was amazing. Also, Katy Perry gave us Left Shark.
Yeah, that was a good one.
4 years
that's a
ago.
good
So
one
that was
too.
a pretty fun meme we got out of that. It was a bummer that they didn't play Sweet Victory by SpongeBob. Did you hear about that grassroots movement?
I saw that.
They teased everybody with that. It was just the intro to Sicko Mode by Travis Scott.
Yeah, I felt bad for Adam Levine and Maroon 5 as a whole. I mean, it's a whole band. It's not just him. They're all involved, right?
I don't know. If he got hit by a bus tomorrow, I don't think they would be.
I know, but I'm saying
making music
like
much longer.
I'm saying like this was their chance to play for the Super Bowl too, and it just got it just kind of got crapped
This
on.
was their second or third time, though, wasn't it?
Have they played in the Super Bowl
They played before.
I don't know. I mean,
He's played Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong on that, but I thought it was like Maroon 5 and Company or something like that, like Bruno Mars and Company, wasn't it?
I don't
Or
know.
Do I have that
I don't
wrong?
see why they would
Bruno
do it.
Mars played
So-
with Coldplay.
Coldplay. I'm totally confused. Same
two
thing,
two
right?
different bands,
Same
not
thing.
the same at all.
But I mean that their first album is one of my favorites, which is where they played most of the songs from. So like, I have a hard time.
Was that songs about Jane?
Yeah.
Or they have one before that.
Songs about Jane.
Reminds me of Hollister.
They did have one before that, but that was when they were called Cara's Flowers was the band name.
Oh,
Cars
Yeah,
are
so-
flowers.
Cara's like
Like
the
the
name. Cara's Flowers. Maybe it's Cara's. I think I've heard Cara's.
Okay.
But yeah,
Some deep cuts here hitting.
Yeah,
us with.
so this is what you get with producer Dave at the helm. Some deep tracks. Yeah, you can find that first album on Spotify. It's not great, but you can tell that Adam Levine is actually singing. So
How about that?
his career has
I
come a
will
long
say,
way.
I didn't know he was that tatted, but the Joker, he lifts. He hits and buys and tries.
Well, did you see
when he took off his sweatshirt or whatever, and he was
Yeah.
wearing a tank top, somebody at the party that we were at was like, he's definitely about to take his shirt off. And
There
then
you
I just
go.
looked away and I looked back and I was like, oh, he took his shirt off. He has California tattooed on like his.
Yeah.
Abdomen or
so
something?
that's
Super
what I
weird
was.
tattoo.
That's what I was going to bring up. Is they tried to get like folks from all 50 states to like Sharpie their state on their stomach and take a picture.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see it. Alabama, Mississippi, West
Georgia-
Virginia.
Yeah, I mean,
point.
it
There's
was
some
the
states that-
epitome of what you would think.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I mean, they, no shame.
There you go.
Yeah.
Have fun
you
with
just,
it.
You just got to write bigger.
No shame, respect.
So that's Super Bowl, huh?
Yeah,
that's
let's-
pretty much what we're bringing to the table in the Super Bowl.
That's
Looking
it.
forward to Super Bowl next year. I believe it is in Miami. It's going to be Titans versus TBD.
Panthers.
Yeah, I was fine with that. 42-14 Titans. Should be a good time.
Yeah, okay. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, moving on.
All right.
Little Georgia football talk. We got the 2019 college football recruiting cycle coming to a close. Kind of a quiet finish for Georgia.
I don't know about that.
Well, we flipped George Pickens. I guess
Yeah.
quiet in that I'm still getting used to the early signing day, just
Yeah.
in terms of numbers.
Yep.
So for those of y'all that don't follow recruiting that closely, they've added a 3-day window in December that kids are allowed to sign. So there's a 3-day window that they can sign, and then the first Wednesday in February they can sign anytime after that. So, but the way it's played out the last couple of years is something like 80% of blue chip players, which tends to be about the top 300 players or so in the country, sign with that early signing period.
Yep.
So the bigger schools tend to have their class for the most part locked up. I think Georgia signed 18, and then we had like 5
Yeah.
spots
I
or
think
something.
that's right.
So, but the
Not
story of
even
the
that
day,
many,
I mean,
yeah.
I'd say the biggest flip in college football on National Signing Day is 5-star receiver George Pickens being
Yep.
committed to Auburn for. Listener
Almost
Sawyer
2 years.
Page quoted me an exact number of days. He's a very, very salty Auburn fan that was over at our house this weekend.
It was like
It was like-
563
It was
days.
500 and something days. It was like since his sophomore year of high school, and flipped to Georgia. I mean, we've been hearing rumblings of it
Mhm.
from the sources that Tyler and I have in place all over the Southeast. But I think to the average fan, it was quite a shock.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it by any means.
Yeah, I don't think we were expecting it. George Pickens, 5-star wide receiver from Alabama. He took his
Hoover
last
High School.
Hoover
if
High
anybody
School.
remembers the show Two-A-Days, circa 2007
Yep.
on
Yep.
MTV.
It's a good one.
That was a good show. I
with
like
Rush
that show.
Probst, who now coaches in Colquitt
Colquitt
County, Georgia.
with his apparently other family.
Yeah,
Not
unfortunately.
to air another man's dirty laundry.
Unfortunately, but yeah. So this kid though, George Pickens, committed to Auburn for almost 2 years there. Super talented, super physical, big body wide receiver that we haven't had in quite a while. Not really elite speed. Regardless, he took his last. I'm not even sure if it was an official visit, but he took a visit to Tennessee. On his way back from Tennessee, he stopped onto Auburn's campus and stayed there. And people thought, okay, well that kind of spells, he's coming off a visit to another school and still stopping by Auburn, where he's been committed to for so long, as he's an Auburn lock.
Mm-hmm.
And then day of, text or calls Gus Malzahn 8 a.m. Hey, I'm all dogs.
Going to
Calls
Georgia.
Kirby.
So now we
coming.
got to get him qualified. That's the only
Yeah,
thing.
so he's
that-
got to get qualified. I think he has until June. He's got until like the summer to get some stuff. I don't know if that's test scores like an ACT, SAT. I don't know if that's grades. I don't know what that looks like. College prep stuff. I'm not sure.
Tyler didn't go to high school and transfer to college. So he's not sure what happens in between those two.
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I don't know what happens if you're a 5-star
For an
athlete.
Yeah, I don't know what happens, but
You
it's
got to
exciting.
spell your name right on the ACT.
Super exciting. Yeah, just to get the qualified. But Georgia ended up overall the number 2 recruiting class, which is super exciting. When National Signing Day came, I think it was last Wednesday, we could only take like 2. I think we can only take 2 or 3 more guys. And we got George Pickens. We got, who was the other guy? Brett
Seifert.
Yeah.
We haven't agreed on how to pronounce his name.
Tight end, and then we picked up another grad transfer. But anyway, we're making some numbers work. We picked up some tight ends, a wide receiver from Tennessee, some grad guys, some senior guys, some transfers. But just we picked up some numbers. We're one person over the 85-man limit as far as our roster is concerned. But I'm sure some guys will get blessed just because they haven't performed up to standard or have some medical disqualifications just due to some guys, been on scholarship but haven't been able to play because of earlier injuries. So we'll figure that out. I think we have time until after G-Day, which is
I think by the start
April
of
20th.
either classes or fall camp. But so your 2 options that the NCAA allows you can just transfer if you want to continue your playing career. Or if you have documented injuries, you can take a medical hardship, I believe is the term. So they'll honor your academic scholarship, and you can finish out school as long as you need to and get a degree, but you won't count against Georgia's 85-man roster limit.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen a few guys do that over the past few years. Chigbu did it. Marshall Long has done it this year. So, sometimes you see it in guys who are maybe figuring out that the NFL is not their long-term future, and that allows them to still stay on campus, still be at practice, still observe in almost like a GA role, and maybe transition into coaching if that's what they're realizing that they want to do. So it's a pretty cool thing to still take care of kids, even if they're not part of the 85-man roster, and sometimes frees up a scholarship spot for a Demetrius Robertson, a Nick Cross.
Well, you make it work. We're hoping
Yeah.
for it. So the last piece of the puzzle for us is Nick Cross. He's a safety out of Texas, I believe. 4-star. We're still hoping that he comes on over.
committed to
we can
Florida
sign him.
State still,
Hard
but
commit to Florida State supposedly.
but chose not to sign on early signing day or regular signing day.
and
So
still
at this
hanging
point,
out there. Which I
not
don't
really sure
understand.
what he's waiting for. Maybe waiting to hear whether he has a spot with us at all.
Yeah.
If Kirby can kind of talk to some guys, or
Either way, I mean, it's just another sign of another, big time recruit, 4 or 5 star guy is committed to a program, another D5 program that is close proximity to UGA, and hasn't committed yet. So that to everyone else reads that, or everyone UGA reads that as a good sign for us, because why would you not just go ahead, sign the dotted line? You've been committed, have it be a done deal, get on campus and get to work. But
that's what they said about George Pickens.
They did. So I mean, it's exciting. I mean, it's just such an exciting time to be a Georgia fan. Like Jimmy said, I think 98% of our signing class is already signed up in the early national signing day, early signing period. So it wasn't going to be a big splash, but the splash we did make was huge, just for our own brand, to keep us in the minds of college football world, just to be on ESPN again, just having the biggest flip, and another 5-star to UGA. That makes 5 for this recruiting cycle. I love it. It's an exciting time to be a fan, and it's just not everyone gets into recruiting, and I get that. These are kids, and I have to remind myself that something like these are not just names. These are not just guys going to be wear a helmet and shoulder pads on there. And they're athletes, but these are kids. You kind of have to remind yourself of that. But it's exciting to see your brand go above and beyond what we were so scared to lose. Everyone was so scared to let go of Rick because of how we recruit in these top 10 recruiting classes. Well, look at Kirby. You have 3, 1, and 2. Some recruiting sites listed as 1 this year also, but regardless, you have an average of the
2.
second ranked recruiting class in all of Kirby's year. So I mean, it's incredible, and I think I forget even the stat, but some of our other UGA friends are talking about it, and I think Kirby has signed of the top 25 highest recruited players in Georgia history. Kirby's already signed 9 of them, I think, or something like that. It was like almost half. It was insane. Like just like the quick, maybe it's more a nod towards recruiting rankings now versus back then, but it's just insane to see over the history of who all we've recruited, where the cream of the crop is coming from right now. It's coming from, it's happening in our lifetime.
I know Kirby is
career.
averaging close to 3 times as many 5-stars per recruiting class as Mark Rick did.
Yeah.
Mark Rick averaged like just over 1, like 1.2, and Kirby's at like 3.5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, when you come to Georgia, you're coming to play, and guys that are listening that are on the fence for the 2020 class, never
I know there's a lot of you. We have a lot of big high school junior following of highly ranked
You are going to come
athletes.
in and play with some talent. I mean, obviously, we have that on campus now, but you're not even coming alone. You're coming in with such a great supporting cast. It's fun, man. There's no more dream class, or what was it? What are they? The dream
team?
There's like
The dream team was like the hashtag or whatever for our 2010 signing class, which included Georgia greats Isaiah Crowell and Ray Drew.
And is Nick Marshall not a part of that?
No, Marshall was
the year before that.
Marshall and Gurley were the same age.
Okay.
So 2012, because they were freshmen when we played Bama.
Yeah, that was bad. But anyway, I guess to close that up, that was just it kind of came and went. I woke up that day, and usually what a big event it used to be, and now it was just kind of today's National Signing Day. But it was a real quick rundown of what you're even looking for, which was Nick Cross, George Pickens, and Brett Seether with that tight end. Which that tight end, to kind of backtrack a little bit, he's a 3-star tight end.
But he got late offers from some pretty major programs.
I don't know if that's just a position of need for these major programs, just trying to fill roster spots because they're being smart with the numbers, like you have to be in college football, or if this is just a late comer in regards to recruiting as far as like the camps he went to, his development. Like maybe he was a unranked or maybe just a 1-star. Then he started shooting up, and
I was a 1-star.
And then he didn't get a chance to almost make it to 4 or 5. He got cut off at 3, and that's what he ended up being. Because like all of a sudden, Penn State, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, all those people were coming out of the woodwork to try to get this guy on campus.
Yeah,
I mean he's a big kid. He's like 6'5", 270. He's a huge kid. It didn't make sense to me.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we pay $10 a month for this recruiting news, and then they've got the guys that work for the website that do a great job, but you've got coaches making millions of dollars per year to scout talent. So I would rather.
I mean, look at Jordan Davis. He's a 3-star.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that is the thing. The way Kirby's been recruiting, like for the most part, these recruiting rankings do tend to hold up. That the teams with higher ranked classes do tend to play better. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean,
But it's gotten to the point. So, like, I do love the fact that, we're the number 2 ranked team and our average players rank this and we have this many 5 stars and this many 4 stars. But it's also gotten to the point to where when we take a 3-star, it's kind of exciting because it's like somebody sees something there.
Sure.
Somebody sees a Jordan Davis.
that feels real now. Because you're starting to
somebody
see
sees
it
a
more.
DeAndre Baker. Somebody
like DeAndre Baker, Jordan Davis. I mean, hell, J.R. Reed. We wanted
J.R. Reed was a 2-star
wanted-
transfer from Tulsa.
and we wanted D'Angelo Gibbs' cousin. That was a package deal, and look how well that turned out for us. It's amazing how
He's at Tennessee now.
how that
right?
turns out. Yeah.
All right.
guy.
Well, Godspeed,
Let
D'Angelo.
me,
Brick.
let me ask a football question.
All right.
Does certain offensive schemes benefit from having a tight end versus not? So I'm thinking like a spread offense. Do they even use a tight end?
Call it an H-back.
Yeah, so there's a Tyler, you want to take that? You know more about it than me, but the H-back versus the true
I'm
tight
gonna say I know
end.
more about it, but yeah, I mean, so a spread uses an H-back. It's gonna be not so much pass blocking. He's gonna be more of a versatile guy. You can line up kind of as like a big slot receiver. So you're gonna have a guy. He's gonna line up either in the slot or just behind the line of scrimmage.
Does that
Almost
change-
like a quasi
like a
fullback.
fullback.
Does that
Yeah.
change the size of a guy that you would go for?
You get a
Yeah.
smaller guy.
Okay.
He'd have
Little
smart,
more-
which is why the I believe Eli Wolf that transferred to us from Tennessee. From what I was reading, they said it was kind of goofy because they said he's a great locker room guy, like real well liked, real vocal in the weight room. So I think he'll,
Real cerebral player.
yeah, a real
Is
gym
he,
rat.
Is he white?
Yeah, very. Yeah, you should see him. But he never quite had the size. Like he doesn't have the frame to put on enough weight to play the sort of tight end that apparently Pruitt favors, which kind of trickles down from the Saban tree, which is just like a pro style, like line it up, run it down their throats, and see if they can stop us. And so the guy that I read about that was doing the write up was like, I'm honestly kind of confused about why he came to Georgia because Georgia does the same thing. So he's
Yeah.
like, I think he's a great addition to the roster from, a
Yeah, I think that was just
I
a
don't know,
depth move.
brothership standpoint. But that's the thing. It's like usually grad transfers are going, because he's a grad transfer, so he's immediately eligible. It's his last year of eligibility. Usually those guys are going somewhere where they can play right away.
I'll tell you
and
why he
he's
came.
coming in.
He wants to win something.
Yeah, he wants a ring. I guess I respect that.
He
He's
wants to win something. I mean, it's a perfect role for him. He wants to win something, and we had 2 guys on scholarship for tight end. One being a true freshman and Ryan. We had 2 guys on scholarship. We had Charlie Warner and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Did I have that right?
And then
John
Goad.
Fitzpatrick. Ryan Giode, however you say his last
he's
name.
another one we're not sure.
So we were very
Have to
thin.
wait till G-Day for somebody to say his name out loud.
That's true.
But he's coming off a torn ACL,
He
so
is.
who knows how available
but
he'll
very,
be at all.
very thin and very inexperienced at tight end. So it's just a perfect storm. Why not have an extra body out there to even rotate, even if he can't to perform another blocker, another something, and just another weapon. We'll have to shorten the bench so much so I don't really see him getting the ball. I can't see that being the case. Maybe a very situational type player. But to your point, David, yeah, I think a tight end, you would want the bigger body. Just an extra blocker. It's your sixth.
The way that Georgia uses
offensive
them,
lineman.
is more of like a 6th offensive lineman. The way that which I don't really watch anybody besides Georgia, but from what I read, like in Ohio State or somebody that runs a little more of a spread offense, or in Auburn that just runs a fake gimmicky offense that isn't actually good.
CJ Uzoma. They do. I mean, that's what they do. They run that guy and roll him out, kind of like quick screens, kind of quick outs. No one that's really just a more versatile athlete that's not going to be a quick wide receiver, but it's not going to be as big enough to block on a line. So
Pretty exciting stuff. I think Georgia should pretty solidly have the 2nd most talented roster in the country, according to recruiting rankings, behind Alabama.
Yep.
Come the beginning of the season.
It's no surprise though.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ohio State floats around up there. Texas, he's doing a really good job recruiting out in Texas. Tom Herman is. And then obviously Clemson's not going anywhere just because they hit on all their guys. They don't have very many guys bust.
Yeah.
They have Trevor Lawrence for 2 more years.
That could be coaching though.
Their conference is garbage, so they're going to just, dance into the college football playoff every year. So
It looks scary, but yeah, you don't see anybody coming out of the ACC to really challenge.
yeah,
Which
and they earned everything they got last season. I mean, I'm not trying to,
No doubt.
take away from anything that they did. They absolutely dismantled Alabama. But yeah, I mean, I think scouting, coaching, development, weight room stuff. I mean, it's a pretty well-oiled machine there, and there's a lot of continuity at Clemson, so they're definitely not going anywhere. Oregon signed a pretty strong class. I mean, I think the Pac-12 is just an afterthought at this point to us. Like, first top 10 class they've had of the common recruiting era or whatever. Yeah,
Wow.
Which they have Alabama's old like ace recruiter.
Cristobal, Mario Cristobal, yeah,
is their head coach.
So
they could end up being pretty good. I mean, I'll be rooting for Washington this year, and no doubt
Sure.
in the Pac-12. I think Eason was,
that's exciting.
It's sad the way that it worked out, but I think he handled it the right way. I think he handled himself well when he was a Bulldog, and I don't think anybody in Bulldog Nation has any sort of ill will against Eason.
Why would we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he got beat out. He left. He didn't try. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with Justin Fields, but he didn't try to get a hardship to play right away. He said, you know what, I got beat out. Fromm was better than me. I'm gonna go to this other school, wait my turn, hopefully, be the starter this coming year. So I'm definitely rooting for Eason.
No, I'd love to see him in the playoffs. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be neat.
That'd be fun. Yeah, do we want to get into the field stuff? Save that for another episode.
Yeah, let's save that for another. There's a lot to talk about there.
There's a lot to unpack.
But
sticking with real quick and changing gears a little bit, but with recruiting, is UGA basketball recruiting, which is sounds like a
Georgia basketball is back.
It's on the way
up. We are a basketball school now.
Yeah, Georgia basketball is back come 2020. Georgia we got committed. Anthony Edwards, 5-star guard, number 2, number 1 recruit, depending on what site you're looking at. Basketball.
Well, obviously the number
nation.
1.
Yeah, we're looking at whatever
correct.
site calls him number 1.
I'm trying to be fair.
Easy.
247 has him as number 1, but the composite has him at number 2, and the composite is kind of the Bible for me when it comes to recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
So,
okay,
but anyway,
cool.
5-star and the highest rated commit in UGA's history of basketball recruiting. So kind of like what we said with LeBron James a few episodes ago in regards to basketball and how much a player can influence. Not that we are huge basketball guys. I will definitely pay more attention to it just because of this guy, which makes me shallow in a bandwagon. I get that, but I will watch more UGA basketball.
Yeah, 100%.
Just to see what it's about. If we get the kid on campus, he still got to sign. This is just a commit. But anyway, having a big-time 5-star commit like that, basketball, like we said, it's just one player can change it so much for a team. It's incredible. I mean, you see it in the college in the NCAA tournament every single year. You hear about these no-name teams that this one guy, Jimmer Fredette, and these guys are just like blow up. They weren't like Steph Curry. He didn't go to a big-time program. He was at Davidson. They just see these guys explode onto the scene. Now we don't have that pedigree of basketball, even for us those smaller programs that dance into the dance perennially, but. It's just this will be fun to watch to see a guy come in, hopefully attract, even if he's a one and done, to at least again market the brand, put the G out there, and say, "Oh, that looks kind of fun. Look what Georgia's building. I want to go play with him if he does stay."
Yeah,
it's just cool. Anyway, we have him committed 5-star Anthony Edwards, paired with 2 4-stars as well. I don't know their names or their positions. I guess that's pretty good. I also did not realize
their names are Jaquan Walton and Tumani Kamara.
There you go. Thanks guys for coming and
2
committing
small
to the G.
forwards and a shooting guard.
I just don't know. I've never thought about this also. Basketball recruiting classes have to be like, what, 4 people? 5 people?
I mean, what do you have, 12 scholarships total, right?
I've never even thought about how
That's
small.
crazy.
Yeah, that must be pretty small.
Well, wasn't he in, like you may have said this and I blacked out, but wasn't he between Kentucky?
He was considering Kentucky.
I think Kentucky was up there, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think
Kentucky,
I saw it was like
Duke, UNC, Georgia, all the blue bloods.
That's true, and
all the
That's what
perennial contenders.
Well, that's what I didn't get.
he's definitely going road less travel. But I mean, a few guys. I mean, Kevin Durant went to Texas.
Well, he's from
for God's
Atlanta.
sakes.
He goes to Holy Spirit Prep, which I've never heard of, but it says
Never
it's
have
in
either. I
Atlanta.
watched his highlights. I mean, he's physical. He looks good. But I mean, it's just exciting though. I mean, again, this is all happening in our time. Having Kirby recruit well. I'm not going to say basketball's recruiting well. This is definitely a splash. This is definitely another thing.
I think they brought Kirby
our
in
brand.
as the closer.
Kirby did talk to them,
Kareem
which was
out.
funny. We joked, Kirby spoke to him, so he's definitely coming. What else needs to happen? But it's just, to me, I don't know how that pitches. I don't know how you sell Georgia basketball. Like, come look at the arch. Come look at Stegman. Like, what do you pitch? We're not sending anyone like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to be halfway self-aware as a Georgia fan. That game day atmosphere is
like
not.
Stegman is not raucous. It is nothing like Cameron
It
Indoor
usually is
or
when we
Kentucky,
play,
like Rupp
when
Arena.
we play Kentucky.
Yeah.
But then there's a bunch of random Georgia students, people that I knew from my classes. I remember seeing this, that would be wearing Kentucky stuff. That
Really?
I guess,
Wow.
yeah, I guess they just had grown up Kentucky fans and they figured
Gross.
they'd be Georgia basketball and Kentucky or Georgia football, Kentucky basketball, which is lazy to me.
Which, yeah, I
pick
mean,
a school.
I guess I did a little bit of that when I was younger, just because I was never a big basketball fan. I never had none of my teams. I guess were good at basketball. So you pick the best one. You're like, okay, this is fun to watch. You don't want to watch you don't want to sit there as a kid and watch a crappy Georgia basketball team. That doesn't
But as an
entertain
adult,
you.
I will sit here and watch a crappy
As an
Georgia
adult,
basketball
I think,
team.
yes, and I
I will
think
say thank you, Coach Green. Can I have some more?
I guess now.
That's what I turn it to X on a beach in
Well,
Florida.
Okay,
Oh,
now.
man. That's going to be a whole
speaking
other
Jimmy's-
episode to talk about that.
Speaking
Yeah.
Jimmy's love language now. I get
Yeah.
Reese on the episode next to discuss all that crap that comes on
Definitely.
TV. But I guess it is exciting, I guess, in a way. But then it intrigues me more as I'm older now too, just because it's like, okay, this is kind of fun to watch and pay attention to because there's a lot more. I'm not gonna say skin in the game, but you can just a lot more. You can see a lot more of the inner workings of why a program is the way it is. When you're paying money to go to have season tickets or to an athletic fund or whatever, you can kind of see that work a little bit, and you feel like a vested interest because you commit 0.001% of the athletic fund from your own bank account every year for football tickets. So, Kirby and Tom Crean, I'm keeping your feet to the fire. You better make it work this year.
I know Stacy's a hater because she's a Florida fan and all, but was very underwhelmed about the arches. So I don't know if that's our best recruiting tool.
Arch.
I was teasing. That's not.
She was like, "That's it. That's what it looks like." And I was like, "You hadn't seen that giant picture on my wall? That's what it is." And it's like,
She didn't think it was that impressive?
I mean,
What's an impressive Gainesville landmark that they have on that
I don't know.
campus down
Great
there?
question. I should have thrown it back in your
The
face. But
a swamp.
Yeah. I think there's
Not the swamp, a swamp.
there's a Dairy Queen down there.
That's exciting. But just as far as recruiting goes for UGA as a whole, big time splashes in football, fun, kind of a rare moment for basketball, which is fun. So that's just exciting time to be a Georgia fan as a whole, just with all the buzz and kind of just the brand awareness that it seems to just be putting out there as far as recruiting sites and what's being talked about. That can never be a bad thing because at least we're not Ole Miss or Auburn
And also,
or whatever.
speaking of just sports besides football, I did see that Georgia's women's tennis team was playing for a national championship yesterday or today. I can't find the score. I'm
Look at
Googling
us
it.
now.
probably
I don't
on In We Go.
I don't
It was.
know.
I think it was a game set match.
I don't know if we won or not.
Was the score?
I don't know. I'm on itatennis.com, Intercollegiate Tennis Association. So I don't know if that's like some sort of club tennis but the championship was this week. I'll keep Googling.
I don't know.
David,
I don't know
let's
how
give
we got
Indigo a
here.
shout out.
I don't know how we got here, but
Yeah, I don't know how we
this
got
is
tennis.
probably one of those events that's on In We Go. And if
definitely.
you type in the code Pylon, you save $10 off your first month, indefinitely
kind of
forever.
a sloppy Indigo shout out.
We'll work on
Yeah,
that.
Indigo
Thanks,
had
man.
some solid stuff for the Super Bowl. I will say that. Got to attend the Migos Lil Jon con. Have we recorded since Will and I went to that?
I think we did.
I remember talking about how it was coming up. That was a ton of fun. Went to a beer festival on Saturday and a brunch festival on Sunday.
Maybe we didn't.
Had some good stuff. To actually transition to something, all of the AAF games are going to be on there.
I was wondering that was coming up.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
the
yes.
Atlanta Legends,
Back on
led
track.
by UGA legend Aaron Murray.
Not led by.
Did he get beat out? Is he not
Yeah, by
starting?
Brett Sims,
Okay.
old Tennessee quarterback.
Oh, bummer. He should
Really?
be playing for Memphis.
Well, we lost 40-6, so I'm sure it'll be a marketing.
We did
change.
get killed by Steve.
It'll be a marketing ploy.
As much as I hate it, I kind of love the pettiness of Steve Spurrier. That like he coaches the Orlando team and they beat the Georgia team to debut
First off,
this.
it's the Orlando Apollos and Atlanta Legends. Call them
Okay,
by their name.
there you go. In the American Awesome Football, what does AAF stand for?
I don't know.
It's like supposed to be this feeder league to the NFL. It's a lot of guys that didn't quite make it in the NFL. But they set it up a pretty cool way in that each team has sort of regional ties to the teams around it. So they're trying to make it so that like the Atlanta team would have a lot of Tech and Georgia players, and then the Birmingham team has a lot of Auburn, Alabama players. The Memphis team has a lot of Ole Miss, Tennessee players.
LSU. is in there.
LSU. too,
Speaking
so-
of NFL players that have been all over the map, whatever happened with Johnny Manziel?
He's in Canada.
Is he still in Canada?
Is he playing-
I mean,
He
'cause I knew-
started a game in Canada. He went like 2 for 14
Oh, I
with
do
5
remember that.
interceptions or something.
I do remember. I watched that a little bit of that. Yeah, or saw the highlights. It's
Yeah.
brutal.
It was
Yeah,
bad. So
but-
maybe he'll make his way back and play. San Antonio has a team, so I would
Oh,
imagine that
San Antonio
is who-
Commanders.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
who Texas A&M has ties with. But
Yeah.
we
Just
watched
call them
the,
the San Antonio Cocainers, and
You have Johnny
Johnny
back.
Manziel home.
He's cleaning up his image, guys.
but
Take it easy.
but it was funny. So Orlando, something's Cavaliers, Apollos, led by Coach Steve Spurrier, played the Atlanta Legends, and Steve Spurrier, for anybody that follows college football history at all, He won the Heisman Trophy his last year at Florida. Team would have been undefeated, would have won the national championship had they not lost to Georgia. And his hatred and his vendetta against Georgia continues to this day.
Even to the Atlanta
And
Legends.
we're on the wrong side of it. We got our butts kicked up and down the field by Spurrier in the 90s. But I will say I love the pettiness of just all things Georgia he hates. And so he went out there in a pretend made-up football league that nobody is watching, and he ran the score up on Atlanta. And I thought that was hilarious.
No, he's funny. I think he's a funny asshole. I'm not gonna say no one was watching. I think the numbers were good for the AAF on the whole. We
can post a video of the tailgate at the Birmingham one.
That is funny. But I think most new sport leagues like this probably debut well. I think they have good initial ratings just because people are curious to see what it is. The XFL, the USFL, the UFL, all the other defunct leagues are.
All the other FLs.
Yeah, I mean, they were fun. I just think this is a little different. There are 8 total teams. The majority of them are in the Southeast where kind of like football is king. There's kind of that itch for it, just to have something else other than college football and NFL football. So it's kind of a fun league. It's only 10 weeks. The 4 of the top teams make it to the playoffs. I'm not even sure if there's divisions in regards to that, but it's the 4 top teams go. And it's just, I think to me, the product itself wasn't necessarily the best. The more exciting piece was just seeing all the players you kind of forgot about. Like someone from like Auburn like Quan Bray, or someone like Trent Richardson, or even like Aaron Murray, hopefully he gets to, play sometime. It's just, usually when those guys, didn't make it in the NFL, maybe they went to the CFL, but you never watched them. You never got to see it. You never even really ever heard about them again. So it's kind of fun just to have another glimpse into, okay, yeah, they're fringe players. Yeah, they can't make a practice squad right now, but this kind of keeps them in the conversation. And it's just fun to kind of watch their career to me. Granted, it's not the NFL. It's not going to be the NFL. It's not going to replace college football or anything to that effect. I just think it's a fun, quirky, quick 10-week competition to kind of watch some older fringe guys that were fun to watch in college but couldn't quite make it, kind of like myself, to the NFL.
It's funny because it reminds me of our take on like club sports in college.
Yeah,
this is like their version of that.
Right. Exactly.
It's like the guys that are too good to play like A-level intramural sports.
Right. Yeah. It's just, to me, that's exciting. It is fun, and I think
Trent Richardson is the running back for Birmingham.
Which he didn't
That's
look.
his name.
He
He's
didn't
the 3rd
look
overall
great.
pick.
Yeah.
It's in the NFL draft.
Say what you want about his career. He still didn't look, compared to the competition he had, he still didn't look dominant. So it wasn't like he went out there and just owned the field. But the fun part about this league. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Who were the 2 quarterbacks in the game that we watched Sunday? One of
the
them,
Birmingham Iron was.
There was a guy named Perez. That I'd never heard of.
He was a D2 football player.
The other one was.
He won. I didn't know this, but Spencer, he told me that he won the Harlan Hill Trophy, which is like the Heisman Trophy for D2 football.
Really?
And then the other quarterback for the Memphis Express was Christian Hackenberg, which was the 5-star #1 overall quarterback and I think athlete in like the 2011-10 recruiting cycle.
He was at Penn State when all the sanctions fell.
He stayed at Penn State.
Joe
Paterno stuff. He still stayed after Bill O'Brien left after 1 year at the Texans and just never really developed and came in anything. Jimmy joked when he was so right. If that game were to be played in 2011, that would have been an all-star game.
Yeah, it would have been a great game. I mean,
with all the guys that were in there.
The Under Armour High School All-American game of 2010.
But they're just guys who were
5-stars.
They're good and they're athletic. They just didn't pan out, whether it be in college and or the pros. And then the backup for the Memphis Express was Zach Mettenberger from old Georgia quarterback, turned LSU, turned Tennessee Titan legend. Memphis Express. Anyway, I just think it's fun to kind of like, I'm sitting there watching this game, you're like, holy crap, that's Zach Mettenberger, that's Quan Bray, that's, Jeremy Johnson. He'll never play football again. But it's just kind of cool to see older ex-players that are out there. So it's a fun league. I'll definitely watch it.
Pretty soon, Jacob Eason will be back in there.
That'll be cool. And then if you're in the Atlanta area and you're listening, we're going to go to the home opener for the Atlanta Legends. Tickets are $6.80. It is February 24th.
Saved $10 on American Pylon and get a profit.
Mm-hmm. Come with us, hang out, tailgate. This is another excuse because what I think is really cool to add to it is it's played at Turner Field, which is now Georgia State Stadium, which is a stupid name.
No, that's fake news. It will always be Turner Field.
It's played at Turner Field, so come down, tailgate, just like we would at the Braves game, and let's just go hang out and just...
Side note, if you call it Georgia State Sports Complex, you can't hang out with us. You're not our friend. No. Or if you bought till I die.
Or if you bought the new Google Pixel phone.
See you also, never. We mentioned earlier, but we are looking for a new
host with an iPhone with blue text. Thanks.
Yep.
Should that wrap it up for us in this one?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got. And we're also gonna try and get a big tailgate for the March 10th game, which is the Atlanta Legends versus Memphis Express, which is essentially a Georgia versus Tennessee alumni game.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So I think that'd be a lot of fun. Go tailgate there, bring the cornhole like the old days.
Hear ya.
Do a little tomahawk chop.
Well, thank you for joining us on our random discussions of the night. Coming in hot on the Super Bowl 2 weeks late. And, just our casual, my love for Adam Levine. And, I pray that they do better next time they're on such a important stage.
With the whole world watching.
Everyone really seemed to hate that. So
we'll hopefully have a host next week. We'll see if we can start a group me or send Will, an email or just a letter or something
I'll
like
fax
that.
him.
I have my old iPhone 6. Maybe he'll agree to use it just for business, aka the podcast.
There we go.
Anyway,
But if anybody knows how to we were actually trying to get our text to turn green and we couldn't do it. Did y'all? So if anybody knows how to do that, if you're in a group text and somebody has an iPhone and then they switch away from an iPhone, your phone still thinks they have an iPhone. And so we were texting each other, and Will kept sending texts being like, "Can anybody hear me? I'm not getting any messages."
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
It was pretty funny.
So we're gonna get this
Will
figured out.
go back to the iPhones to quit being a contrarian. You and Alan Carroll,
please
get
comment.
back iPhone so we can have normal group texts again.
Comment, subscribe, listen, and watch. We're on pretty much any. Well, if you're listening to this, you are watching, so thank you. And we're going to wrap it up for tonight. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs.